information is going to be. So everyone should have their focus out. Let's begin. We have a bunch of really big concepts we're going to cover today. So just quickly, I know this is in review, but sensation, if you look on your focus, this is the first thing under number 1. It's the activation of receptors in the various sense organs. So that's what sensation is. There are 2 parts. Please listen for 2 seconds. This unit is called sensation and perception. This week we're working on sensation. Next week is perception. Sensation is how the information gets from the environment into your brain. Next week, it's how that information in your brain affects your behavior. So this way is how do we get information in. Next week is how that information in your brain affects your outward behavior. So that's what sensation and perception is. Sensation is the activation of receptors of various sensory receptors are specialized. Those are where transduction occurs. And you have your eyes, ears, nose, skin, and taste buds. Okay? So those are your 5 points, your 5 sense organs. Eyes is obviously your visual, ears your auditory, nose is your olfaction, like an olfactory would smell, olfaction. Skin is your kinesthetic, I don't know if you can remember the skin, but we'll do what you can. And gustatory takes like your whole mouth to say the word gustatory, so I think remember that for taste. All right, so the first major theory that we're going to talk about is your just noticeable difference theory. On your focus, it's called difference threshold. Difference threshold, I would write next to it J&D, which is your just noticeable differences. I will give you a second now to write down the definition without me talking over it, and then I need your focus and your attention. So write down the definition first, because that's all you're going to want to do right now anyway. Okay. What you need to understand about difference threshold is it is unique for every single person. I would write that down. It is unique for every single person. Okay, so here's a personal example. Do not judge. I am obsessed with Splenda. It's disgusting, I know. McCrae says within the next 5 years we're going to find out it's cancerous and I'm going to be dead 5 years and a day. Okay, I love it so much so. Okay, so for instance, I drink unsweet passion teas from Starbucks. I put 10 Splendas in it.
Why do you get it?
Shh, because I like the Splenda and it's no calories. What? Okay, maybe if you put 10 in there, it's no longer no calories. Who knows? But we're just going to go with it. So I put in 10 Splendas. Okay, my girl Toledo. Do you know Toledo? Okay, my girl Toledo. She teaches AP Econ. She's crazy. I'm glad this is being recorded so people can hear this later. Okay? Toledo teaches AP Econ. Every once in a while she picks me up a passion tea and she puts 8 in it. I know that it's wrong because it has 8 and not 10. Now if you put 9, I may not be able to tell you. That is a difference threshold. Sometimes I can pick up the difference and it's always done by personal. It is what I can tell the difference. I can always tell between 8 and 9 Splendas in my hot tea. Or if there's 9, I can't really tell. Does that make sense? My husband is trying to cut me down, so he puts 6. But he doesn't remember we have a bag of Splenda in the house. You can just pour it in, okay? So, difference threshold is everyone's unique ability to pick up the difference. So, for instance, me and when McCrae's in town, we go to the gym together, and I hate the gym more than anything. I hate it so much. And I just do, when we're there, he does the weights and stuff. Like, I do the weights with him, but he changes the weights and stuff, and he always adds more weight. And I just don't even care because I just like the faster we get this done, the faster we can go home, and I can sit on my couch. Don't judge. I hate the gym. Okay, so I have no strength. So if he adds I have no arm strength at all. He calls my arms al dente. So sad. So if he adds even a pound to some of my weights or 5 pounds, I'm just done. It's not going up. So my difference threshold for my arms is very, very small. I know if you add a pound of weight to whatever I'm carrying because it matters because I can't do it. However, my taste, I can do if I'm running. I've run extra a mile or two by accident before. Like, I can run all day. I just can't lift anything. Difference threshold is unique. Some of you have really good ears, but you're not very good at tasting things. It's all completely unique. It's completely based off you and if you can tell the difference. Does that make sense? Okay? Don't get it confused between absolute threshold. Now, absolute threshold is the best someone has ever done it. It is the best a human has ever done it. In parentheses, I would write Guinness Book of World Records. It's the best someone has ever done it. As long as one human has done it, it now becomes the absolute threshold, which means it's the absolute best. They are the best at whatever they are. So, for instance, some guy or chick, I have no idea, literally saw a candle on top of a mountain 30 miles away.
On a clear dark night.
On a clear dark night. Okay? So one human has seen a candle on top of a mountain on a clear dark night. That is the absolute best your eyes will ever see. They are Guinness Book of World Records. Like, for instance, the other ones are someone felt a bee's wing touch their cheek from 1 centimeter away. First of all, who tests for that crap? But that's another whole point. Absolute threshold is the best someone has ever done something. It has nothing to do with you as an individual. It is the best a human has ever done. Does that make sense? It's like the world record for our sensations. I can see something that far. Like, who knows that stuff? Like, who sits there and says, I don't know. So if you can see a candle 31 miles away on a clear dark night, you are now our absolute threshold for sight. I don't think you win a damn thing. I don't think anyone will care. You won't make news, but I guess good for you. That's absolute threshold. Do we understand the difference? Difference threshold is how well you can pick up whether you notice if your husband's trying to cut off your Splenda by adding 6 instead of the required 10. Okay? Or if Toledo forgot that I like 10, not 8. Okay? And I can't notice stuff like that. That is difference threshold. Do we get the two? Everyone's good? Okay, so your next one is subliminal sensation. I'm going to give you a quick recap of a video clip I usually show, but I just do not have time. It is from the very historically and educationally foundation of society, which is called Saved by the Bell. Okay, and Saved by the Bell, Zach is in a psychology. Okay,
Yep.
he goes into his psychology class the day before. The teacher played a record, and literally was a record. In class, everyone brought her apples and chocolates, and Zach Morris learned about subliminal stimuli. Okay, so what he did is he took his Beach Boys CD and recorded underneath the track. Okay, so you can't hear it, but it's playing. He recorded Zach Morris is a great guy. Zach Morris is a good kid. Zach Morris is the son I never had. Gave it to Belding, who is his principal of the school. Belding played what he thought was the Beach Boys CD with an undertrack of Zach Morris is a great kid. Zach Morris is a good person. Zach Morris is the son I never had. And all of a sudden, Belding kept saying, Zach, you're like the son I never had. You're a great kid. You're a good guy. And Zach Morris is like, oh my God, this is so exciting. So then he obviously played the trick on Kelly Kapowski, trying to get her to go to the dance with him. Okay, and then it leads to complete chaos. Because she plays it over the loudspeaker, and all the girls want to go with Zach Morris to the dance. It's chaos. I will leave you hanging, waiting to know what happens to Zach Morris and his Kelly Kapowski, whether it worked or didn't. Did the girls mob him? Did he not? Who knows? We'll never know now. Actually, it's on YouTube. You can watch it. Okay, subliminal stimuli is when there's an under message that is not overtly stated. Okay, so today we don't use subliminal stimuli as in auditory. We use visual, and it's called product placement. Okay, like if you watch America's Got Talent or Next Top Person or whatever it is, if you look at the table, they have all Dunkin' Donuts cups in front of them. Okay, and Dunkin' Donuts, in their contract, all of whoever they are, I have no idea who they are, they all sign a contract that they will physically drink out of that mug at least 7 times on camera. Yeah, they're supposed to. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Howard Stern talks about it. My husband's obsessed with Howard Stern. Don't ask, okay? He's not the biggest creep in the world, but he's kind of crazy. I know, but that's how he knows. So anyway, subliminal stimuli is a message that's not overt. Okay? So, now, it's not strong enough when we talk about subliminal. It's not strong enough for it's like jumping out in your face. You can't say, you should go to Target and buy my sweater. But if you're like, you know, oh, wow, Miss Bennett always wears cardigan, and now when you see a cardigan, you think Miss Bennett, and you're like, it's subliminal. Okay? Now, subliminal stimuli are dealing with perception. What they're trying to do is change your behavior. In the late 70s, early 80s, movie theaters used to cut the film, because they had real film then, and they used to put in a couple frames of sodas and popcorn and candies into the film. They used to splice it in order to get people to see it subliminally so they would want to go get it. You couldn't see it in the film because it goes so fast, but your subconscious could. And so people were like, oh, I want to go get candy in the middle of the film. They used to try to do that. So it's not overt, it's subliminal, which means it's lower than conscious level. It doesn't really work. Product placement works because you see, you know, handsome, beautiful people trying to sell you things. You're like, oh my God, if I wore a Vino just like Jennifer Aniston, I would look just like Jennifer Aniston. McCray buys Vino things for me. He wants me to look just like Jennifer. Not yet. I'll keep using it though. Okay? That is product placement. It doesn't really work, subliminal messaging, because it doesn't really influence people's behavior. Perception is how you respond to those messages. So if you're watching a film and they're splicing it with images of candy, sodas, and all that stuff, popcorn, and you get up, that's subliminal perception. Does that make sense? It doesn't really work. It's not very effective. Product placement is, though. All right. So the next major concept that I do want to go over, it's a little bit tricky, is habituation. Habituation is on your focus, by the way. Habituation is the tendency of the brain to stop attending to constant, unchanging information. So I'm going to let you write that down, and then I'll explain further. And then we're going to do some boards. All right. So, anyone, if you grew up in a house with a smoker, okay, if you did, you like McCray did. My parents never smoked, and I don't smoke now. But McCray's dad used to smoke. When he was living with his dad, he never smelled smoke. Okay, it was because it was all around your body. Just your nose just doesn't process it because it's just everywhere. Okay, so when he used to wash clothes, put it in the washer and stuff like that, put it in the hamper when it's dried, bring it into his room, and then he'd pick it up and smell it. Well, if you live in a smoker's house, smoke is everywhere, correct? Everything kind of gets so he used to just smell Downy or whatever the fabric softener was that they were using. He didn't smell the smoke. But for a non-smoker like myself who would smell the clothes, I would smell the Downy, and I would also smell the smoke. Habituation is when over a long enough period of time, and I would put long term next to it, over a long period of time, your brain does not process certain information on a regular basis. For instance, another example would be if you live by the city dump, guess what you don't smell that often? The city dump. It's habituation. Your brain just says, okay, clearly this ain't going anywhere. We'll just kind of block it out. If you live by the airport, guess what you don't hear that often? The planes coming in and out. If you live by a train station, guess what you don't really hear that often? The train, all that stuff. That's habituation. It's over a long-term basis. Does that make sense? Hello? Mm-hmm. All right. Because then we have the short term, which is called sensory adaptation. Now, sensory adaptation is the tendency of sensory receptor cells to become less responsive to a stimulus that is unchanging. What that means is sensory adaptation is your brain. So, for instance, this is totally not a real life example because I would have changed the litter box. But imagine if I came home after a long day of school and went home and walked into my house And I was like, oh my God, my litter box stinks. I need to change my litter box. But let me eat a snack first. So I go to my fridge and make myself a snack. And you can't eat a snack standing. It's like wrong. You have to sit on the couch because it's not a snack unless you're on the couch. So imagine I get my snack. I sit on the couch. I'm like, oh my God, I really need to change the litter box. So I'm sitting on my couch and I'm eating my snack. And then I'm lounging on my couch. And then I take a nap. And then I'm like, oh my God, I gotta take the puppy out. And then I go downstairs, take the puppy out, come back in. I make dinner. I'm hanging out. My husband comes home at 10:30 wearing a 3-piece suit. That becomes important in a second. And walks in the house. He's like, what the hell stinks? And I'm like, say what? And he's like, it smells in here. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. He's like, how can you say that? And he's like, look at the litter box. And it's just turd on turd on turd. Literally needs to be changed. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, how could you sit in this? As he's wearing his 3-piece suit, by the way, just to be a jerk, just to add to the dramatics of scooping the box. He literally stands there, I just came home, and I'm wearing my good suit, and here I am scooping the litter box. And I'm like, oh my God, this is sensory adaptation. I'm teaching my kids this week. And he did not have lovely things to say about it. Sensory adaptation. Okay? If I left my house for a long enough period of time and came back, guess what would happen? I get smacked in the face with a litter box and I'd be like, ah, crap, gotta change my litter box. Okay? But because I was in the house for a pretty long amount of time, my brain stops telling me information. Clearly. So I walk in the house, oh my God, the litter box is dirty. After my snack, oh my God, the litter box is dirty. Once you start lounging on the couch, the litter box is dirty. Okay, clearly she doesn't care. We're done with this. That's what sensory adaptation is. It just says, all right, screw you. You don't care. Fine. We're done. I'm tired of telling you. Okay? Your brain gets frustrated that you're not listening and changes it. Okay? So, sensory adaptation is the change of short term. Okay? So, like, for instance, when you walk in your house and you realize it's Taco Tuesday, you're like, yes, Taco Tuesday. Okay? And you smell everything and it's wonderful, and then you go up to your room and you're sitting there and you're working on your homework, AP Psych, of course. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh my God, Mom, what are we having for dinner? And your mom's like, are you kidding me? It's Taco Tuesday. And you're like, oh my God, that's so exciting. Okay? Yes?
Which one's the one where, like, you don't realize, you don't, like, feel your clothes on your body?
Oh, that's going to be habituation.
Okay.
Yeah, like for instance, like this shirt. You've never seen me wear this shirt because the shirt drives me crazy. It has a really itchy tag. Okay, it has a really itchy tag, but it's sensory adaptation because I feel it, but it doesn't bother me all the time. But every once in a while, I like move it just right, and it does it. And then my brain blocks it out until it gets so bad, and then it allows, like, it comes back through. You know what I mean? That's sensory adaptation because it's short term. Habituation is over the long term. So say, for instance, I wore this shirt every single day of my life. Okay? Eventually, I wouldn't even notice it because it's over such a long, extended time. All right? To the boards. Here we go. On your whiteboard, please tell me, is this an example of habituation, sensory adaptation, difference threshold, or absolute threshold? Yesterday at the gym, I bumped up my weight from 10 pounds to 15 pounds on that stupid rope pull thing for your triceps, and I killed it. But it was really hard. I wish. I like that you have my back and that I am now like a massive muscle builder, but I'm not. What is it, Dibs?
Difference threshold.
Difference threshold. If it was absolute threshold, I'd be the only person in the world that's ever done 15 pounds. Sadly, I'm not. On your whiteboard, please tell me, is this difference, absolute, threshold, or habituation, or is it sensory? When I walk into my mom's house, my mom makes me apple pies every time I come. And it always smells like apple pie, and I get so excited. And then I always forget when it comes to dessert what we're having. Good. Miranda, what is it? Sensory adaptation. On your whiteboard, please tell me. Someone saw a whale 32 miles off the coast, and it was swimming by, and it was really impressive in the middle of a bright day. I don't know. Okay. No, can't do that.
Oh,
What
that's the wrong one.
what is it, Kat? Absolute threshold. On your whiteboard, give me an example of when you've had sensory adaptation. My sensory adaptation was when I walked in my house and I smelled the litter box and I totally forgot to take out the litter and my husband was disgusted that I forgot to do it. What is an example of sensory adaptation in your life? Oh, I hate that. Yeah. All right. Ignore it. Yes. All right. All right. Turn to the person next to you and share your examples. Some of you have good ones.
Mine was when I forget that my glasses.
Oh my God, I do that all the time, and I'm like looking
I'm
for
like,
a world smudge.
I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, am I wearing them or are they on my face?
Oh, see, mine is glasses. I live with smudges all over my life, and I'm just like, oh, here we go. All right, so a couple of the good ones in case your buddy didn't say it was listening to the AC unit. What do you got there? You got a long one.
Said when I forget to do my homework this time because I didn't feel like doing it.
I don't think that's sensory adaptation. I think that's laziness. Okay, so AC unit, who else is a good one? When you hear the AC kick on? Glasses. Okay. Sometimes like I forget if I'm wearing glasses or contacts.
I'll get
Even
in the
though.
shower with my glasses on.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go. Just walk in. I live in a world with fingerprints on my glasses, so when I like take them off and like there's no fingerprints, it's really strange. Now I feel better. I feel more secure with it, with fingerprints. Okay, so you are constantly dealing with sensory adaptation. It's the easier way for your brain to process all the information going on. Like for instance, have you noticed in the cafeteria when you walk in, it's so loud and jarring? Like, oh my God, all these people in one room, it's so overwhelming. But then as soon as you sit down, you can only really hear your friends. You can't really hear the conversations. It's focus, it's all that stuff. It's all sensory adaptation. Okay, so everyone's clear on habituation, sensory adaptation, absolute indifference? Okay, because those are all on your test. And make sure you have some clarification. You don't need that. Okay, so we're going to transition to light. Light, I would have your your eye diagram out, because we're going to be referencing it. Now, just like with volume, the way we see color and stuff is different. Brightness, hue, color, all of that stuff is dealing with how our eyes process information. So when we talk about brightness, which I think is on your study guide, right? It's not brightness? Okay, so when we talk about in amplitude, in that box, I would write brightness. So in the box that says amplitude on your study guide, I would write brightness. What I would write is the brighter, the more variance in wavelength. The bigger the variance, the brighter the color. When we talk about amplitude, guys, do you know what I mean when I say amplitude? Okay. So look for 2 seconds over here. I promise you'll have plenty of time to write it down. So when we talk about amplitude, we're talking about how much off of the consistent sound do things bounce off the median, okay? So if we are going like this, is there a big wave or a small wave? Small. There's a crest and trough, right? 6th grade I learned that. Okay, so because it's a small wave, it's going to have a dull color. And I would write this down maybe in that box. In your application, I would do it for amplitude. Draw this. So this right here is going to have a dull color. Okay, don't ask me why. You don't need to know why either. You just need to know it exists. Is that fair? All right, so dull and brightness, okay, it means it's going to go up, down, down. It just has more varying, it has a big difference between the crest and the trough. And that's all you need to know. For dull colors, like for instance, Dibs is maroon. Sorry, Dibs, you're looking dull. Okay? This color, and we got Arizona, we got a lot of maroons actually, so we don't have to pick, we'll pick on Dibs. This color is going to have a very small break from crest to trough. Okay? However, very bright color, you're it, Drew, okay, is going to cause a lot more of a spark in the crest of the trough and the crest of the wave, which means it's going to be faster. The light has to bounce back into our eyes at a faster rate, which makes it more intense. Like if you look at my signs and stuff, like this is where your sinuses turn in, stuff like that, it's a sharper thing, which means more light has to get into your eye, which is why it's considered brighter. Okay? The slower the wave, or the lower the trough and the crest are, means it's a slow wave. The brighter it is, or a higher amplitude, means more light has to get in, which is why it literally looks brighter. Does that make sense? Okay, all you need to know is amplitude is brightness, okay, or dull. Okay, low waves are dimmer. Now color, when we deal with amplitude, it tells us if it's bright or dull looking. So this is amplitude. Okay, and then color is all based on hue. Now, when we deal with hue, we're dealing with how long the wave is. So when we talk about waves, okay, we are going to have same type of thing. If it is okay, so when we look at hue, it's by length. Okay, so which one of A or B is going to have a deeper color? A or B?
B.
Which one is going to have a deeper color? Remember, it's based on length of the wave.
B.
A is going to have the deeper color because it's a longer, deeper color. Like, for instance,
Because purple is the shortest wavelength.
that is beyond what we need for AP
And red
Psych.
has the longest.
We don't need that for AP Psych, actually. All right, so, damn it, none of you are wearing similar colors. All right. Of course, none of you. Okay. Green. Oh, two different greens. Perfect. Okay. So, here are two similar colors, correct? Which one, this is A, this is B. Is that backwards for you people?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. Turning upside down, that's pretty good. All right, so looking at this one, which one is a deeper color? Dark. A or B? A. So because this is a darker color, is the hue a long way, the hue is the color, it's a deeper color. Is this wavelength going to be long or short? Long. Because the longer the wavelength is, the deeper the color, the darker the hue. The shorter it is, the lighter the hue. So for instance, okay, here's a yellow here. Of course, none of you are helping me in your outfit choice today. Okay, and then here is this one. Which one is going to be the deeper color? I know, I'm sorry.
The paper.
The paper is going to have a deeper color, okay? So it has a longer wave, and this one's shorter. All you need to know is hue is the color. The more intense the color is, the longer the wave. That's all you need to know. The shorter the wave, hue is determined. The longer is the deeper. Is it the shorter? Did I get it reversed?
I mean,
The longer
what
the
does
wave,
what does
the darker
intense
color.
mean?
Yeah, longer.
What do you mean by more intense? That's
Like
what you
deeper.
said. Like so darker?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you
So
go.
without the number.
Okay.
So, visible, you have your red, white, blue is at the very end. And saturation is dealing with the mixing of the colors, which we're going to get to when we get to tri-theories. Okay? So, for amplitude and hue, that is all you need to know. You've all seen the visible spectrum, structure of the eye. All right, so the structure of the eye, first of all, is the cornea. What I would suggest doing tonight, yesterday you used your diagram to fill in some of this information. That's what I would write in for just taking your diagram and writing in these answers on your study guide, for instance. Now, if you look at your focus, you see that there's a diagram of the eye. Just cross it off. I'm just not going to deal with you people being confused by the stupid lines. I just don't like it. So, just cross it off. Just cross it off. Okay? What you need to do is you can just write. Now, my man Carson over here has already done it. Killing it, man. You're killing it. I'm proud. I saw that earlier. Okay, leave it. You're done. For the rest of them who haven't even started, which you can see is the majority of your peers, Carson, they're just going to write out the list of how light enters the eye. Remember, cornea, pupil, starting by the iris, then your lens. You're going to write it out and just write a brief explanation about each. That's all. Is that fair? Same thing with your ear on the back, Carson. Don't you worry, man. You're killing it. Everyone else is jealous. They haven't done it yet. Okay? Same type of thing. Is that fair? Because I'm not worried. Like, you people dealing with the lines and stuff, it would just be too much. Is that fair? So you're just going to do a brief little summary of what happens at each stage, pretty much getting that diagram down. You will see a diagram on the test. You are going to have a question where it says, which of the following is the correct order of how transduction occurs in the eye? Cornea, iris, cornea, pupil, iris, lens, fova, retina, optic nerve. Does that make sense? So please make sure it is a big part of it. It is actually the easiest part of your test, so please make sure you are keeping that in mind. So your cornea, I'm going to flip through it pretty quick because I need to get to your color theories. Is that okay with you? So all this information you already have, so don't think that I'm ignoring you and don't care about your focus in your study guide, but you already have that information down. People, we've got it. Iris, lens, visual accommodation. Okay, so visual accommodation, which I don't know is on there. Visual accommodation is the shifting or the focusing of your lens to see clearer. Okay? That is what visual accommodation is. Okay? And then this is really what I want to focus on. So your retina is there are 3 layers of your eye, which I covered pretty well. Your first one is your ganglion. Remember, bi means 2, so it has to be your second one in. If that helps. You have your rods and cones, which are going to be, all 3 of these are photoreceptors. Okay, so here is their stuff. Does that help? I'll let you write this one down for you. Okay, so your rods are your visual sensory receptors found in the back of the retina that's responsible for non-color, so your black and white color. So right now, when you look at my awesome Target cardigan, it's white. Okay, you're seeing it with your rods. Rods is what's processing that light. Cones are visual sensory receptors that are found in the back of the retina, responsible for color vision. Okay, so looking at everyone else pretty much, looking at our, what looks like Seminole fans in our corner over here, even though one's wearing an ASU shirt. Are you going to ASU?
No.
Do you want to go to ASU?
No.
All right. Okay, so all this is on your study guide. I'm giving you time to write it down. Okay, and I think you are the only class that I'm going to be able to do a couple experiments with tomorrow because you're the only ones ahead. That's so exciting. So it's really cool. You're not excited at all. That stinks. Oh my goodness. We are killing it though. Whew. Can't change it?
No.
Now, if you have not finished your eye, your ear, or whatever, I have posted the video online. I am going to post this online today too. So if you have not done your diagram, you need to do it because that test is a ton of anatomy. It has a ton of theories, which I'm trying to get back to. Yes. Yes, but Dibs, it's maybe kind of earth shaking, but some people aren't absent. See? They weren't here, so that means they need it, which is why it's online. Very helpful. Dibs, you're pretty much always here. Are you ever absent? Maybe once or twice? Time to time. When it just moves you, huh?
Yeah.
You decide you need a beach day, you take a beach day? Alright, we ready? Perfect. Alright. So, for your retina, the blind spot, we're going to do that experiment tomorrow. I'm so excited. We'll do that tomorrow. But I'm going to do the definition so we can kind of fill in your study guide today. Blind spot is the area in the retina where it is a blank space because there's no photoreceptors processing light. It's the area right above your optic nerve. where your optic nerve meets your retina. It's a voided space where the retina actually isn't because it's both going in. It literally has no information. Do you want to do this super quick one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're gonna stare straight ahead. Okay. Don't look at me because it's weird if you're looking at me and I'm like looking straight ahead. I can see my peripheral. Anyway. Okay. You're gonna take your finger and you're gonna take it like right off the tip of your nose. Like don't do it way out here. Do it like so you can only like if you have it to like your left, you can only see it out of your left eye. Does that make sense? Like it's that close. And you're going to bring it in front of your face, and you're going to look straight ahead. You will notice it disappears for a second and then comes back around. Isn't that crazy? It's kind of cool. It disappears, and then it comes back a little bit lower, a little bit higher on the other side. Isn't that cool? You got to put it closer to your face. If you don't see it, it's because your finger's way out here, and there's no issue there. You got to keep it close to your face. It kind of disappears for a second. Isn't that cool? Bring it closer to your face. Oh my goodness.
Attention ladies, if you're